In terms of export value for all of Vietnam, electronics is number 1, phones is number 2, machinery is number 3, and the textile and garment industry is number 4. So the textile and garment industry is very important for the Vietnam economy. And last year, or 2023, we exported $40 billion worth of garments. What can Vietnam make with respect to the garment industry, the raw materials? What I recommend you focus on is the percentage. And I got this from 𝗀𝗲𝗃. 𝗀𝗲𝗃, they published this information on their website. Vietnam produces 1% of its cotton fiber in Vietnam. So they grow 1% of their requirement. Vietnam produces 30% of polyester fiber. Maybe there's a little nylon fiber in there, acrylic fiber, but basically synthetic fibers. Vietnam produces 30%, which to me is actually impressive. It's certainly better than 1%. And then for fabric, we produce 20% of our requirement. So that means 80% of the fabric has to be imported.
My name is Chris. I've been living here in Vietnam for 14 years, working in the Vietnam manufacturing industry. My mission is to introduce Vietnamese factories to the world, and my vision is to become known as the best ambassador for Vietnam manufacturing around the world.
Can Vietnam be self-sufficient? First, it's all about the people, being smart, being clever, creative, and just coming up with ways to achieve self-sufficiency. The other thing is it depends on quantity. Back to my analogy of making 1 cake versus a million cakes. If you're Walmart, Costco, Lululemon, whatever, and you want to come in and you want to do 2 million garments a month, well, then Vietnam is not self-sufficient. You're going to have to get the raw materials outside of Vietnam because Vietnam just doesn't have the quantity of fabrics that's needed. So it depends on the quantity. Like if you want to do 100,000 t-shirts at $2.75 a piece, companies like 𝗀𝗶𝗂𝗳𝗃𝗃, they can take care of you, but they're going to have to bring in the fabric from outside. If you are willing to pay $5 and you only want to do 1,000 t-shirts, then Vietnam can take care of you and it's 100% made in Vietnam. But if your criteria fit what Vietnam can do locally, then Vietnam is self-sufficient and you can do 100% made in Vietnam. So it just depends on your situation. Another thing is that just keep in mind, Vietnam only has 100 million people versus China and India that both have 1.4 trillion. So China and India, they're just bigger. How to spin this story in a positive light? And really it comes down to doing small quantity. Vietnam is good for small quantity. And if you are doing small quantity, you'll be able to get everything made in Vietnam, with some exceptions of things like corduroy or velvet. There are some fabrics that still are not being made in Vietnam. So it goes back to, it depends on the product. Vietnam has been a leader in the last 10 years in sustainability and moving in an eco-friendly direction, from the government to the private industry. And in the sustainable and eco-friendly industry, if you will, Vietnam is self-sufficient. There are a lot of things going on in Vietnam where you can meet the definition of sustainable and eco-friendly, and it's 100% made in Vietnam. For example, there's a company called Baolan. They do like coffee fabric, fish skin fabric, and a lot of other really exotic fabrics. And it's all 100% made in Vietnam. So if you're a sustainable brand, eco-friendly brand, you're doing small quantity of really exotic fabrics, it's possible in Vietnam. Baolan Textiles, they have just launched a new yarn that's made from the fibers of the pineapple trees, and they're selling their yarn. And you can knit and weave this fabric into pineapple fabric. Granted, the price will be high and the quantities will be low, but if that's your brand mission, to produce clothing using natural fibers like pineapple or coconut, it exists in Vietnam. And so you can say that Vietnam is self-sufficient when it comes to, that's the end of my presentation. My name is Chris Walker. I've been working as a Vietnam sourcing expert for the last 14 years, and I basically offer a service where I take my clients out for a day to visit 3 to 5 factories in a day. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you all a wonderful day. And remember, thoughts are things, and where there's a will, there's a way. And welcome to Vietnam. Thank you.
When is a good time to join my weekly free Q&A Zoom call? Every Friday at 10 p.m. Vietnam time, I answer questions for people who join the call. Sign up now for free. Or hire me and my team. We can introduce you directly to factories, we can take you on factory tours, and we can develop your sample from scratch. Thanks for listening, and remember, thoughts are things, and where there's a will, there's a way. Welcome to Vietnam.